Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
And a very warm welcome to all of you. I'm Meha Bhardwaj, and this is Game On. This is where you get the latest from the world of sports, and this is where you can ward off your Monday blues. That's right. But there is bad news coming for India and fast bowler Mohammed Siraj. That's right. Mohammed Siraj and Travis Head, they both have been penalised for their on-field incident during the second test of the Border-Gavaskar trophy. Siraj has been penalised 20% of his match fee after being found guilty of breaching Article 2.5 of the ICC Code of Conduct for Players and Player Support Personnel, which relates to using language and actions or gestures which disparage or which could provoke an aggressive reaction from a batter upon dismissal. Head 2 was sanctioned for breaching Article 2.13 of the ICC Code of Conduct for Players and Player Support Personnel, which relates to the abuse of a player, player support personnel, umpire or match referee during an international match. But unlike Mohammed Siraj, Travis Head has escaped a fine. So there's no fine for Travis Head like Siraj, who's been docked 20% of his match fee. But both these players have received one demerit point on their disciplinary records, marking their first offence within the last 24 months. Fortunately, both players escaped suspension as it was their first offence in the last 24 months. Both players admitted their respective offences and accepted the sanctions proposed by match referee Ranjan Madugale. Now, the 30-year-old Indian pacer, he became public enemy number 1 at the Adelaide Oval following the clash, with the crowd booing him for the rest of the test. Siraj had already drawn the ire of Australian fans on Friday night when he aggressively threw the ball back at Manas Labuschagne when the batter had pulled away from a delivery where a man in the stands had walked into his eye line. Now, this particular incident took place when Travis Head was dismissed by Mohammed Siraj after a fiery 140. This is when the Indian pacer decided to give him a send-off by pointing towards the direction of the dressing room. There was a brief verbal exchange that followed, and of course, words were exchanged. It was done in the heat of the moment before play on Sunday when Australia secured a 10-wicket win to square the series 1-all. Siraj accused Head of lying about what happened on the field. He said, and I quote, "When I got him bowled, I only celebrated and he abused me." And you saw that on TV too. He was talking to Harbhajan Singh and he said, "You saw that on TV too. I only celebrated at the start. I didn't say anything to him. What he said in the press conference wasn't right. It's a lie that he only said well bowled to me. It's there for everyone to see that that's not what he said to me. We respect everyone. It's not like we disrespect other players. I respect everybody because cricket is a gentleman's game, but what he did wasn't right. I don't like it at all." This was Mohammed Siraj's version of what unfolded. Then, speaking after the match, Head, who was named player of the match, he admitted, and I quote, "I might have gone too far with my reaction and I regret that." This is actually after Australia won the match. He had something else to say right after the incident, but this is yesterday. He said, "But I also believe in standing up for myself and our team. We avoid such behavior. It's not the way I play or want my teammates to play. If I see it, I call it out, and I did." Now, Indian captain Rohit Sharma was asked about this whole issue after the game, and he said, "I was standing at the slips. I don't know what was exchanged." This is Rohit Sharma's version of what had happened. He said, "I was standing at the slips. I don't know what was exchanged, but two competitive teams are going at each other. These things happen. You know, Travis was batting well. Obviously, our plan was to get him out. And on the other side, Travis wanted to try and put our bowlers under pressure, and we got the wicket. He celebrated it. There were obviously few words exchanged. I really exactly don't know what was said because my job's not to look at just one incident. I am focused on the overall picture, but again, I don't think we can look too much into the incident. Rohit, though, felt lines shouldn't be crossed and said the crowd booing Siraj didn't have any impact on him. He said he likes to get into the battle. It gives him success. As the captain, it's my job to back that aggression. Obviously, there is that fine line that we don't want to cross anything that disrespects the game, but having a word or two with the opposition is not a bad thing. He likes it and it gets him going. In the past, we've seen many cricketers thrive in such battles, and Siraj is definitely one of them. Our players are used to performing in big crowds. When things go well, they support. When things don't, they don't. That happens everywhere. Siraj knows what he needs to do for the team. His job is to take wickets, and he will do everything required to achieve that. External factors don't matter to him. Now, after India's 10-wicket loss at the Adelaide Oval, questions are being asked about the Indian cricket team's ability to compete in tough conditions. In particular, the continued failure of the batting to put up big totals. Not a single Indian batter made a 50 in the Adelaide Test, and the fact that the 22-year-old newbie Nitish Kumar Reddy has top scored in 3 of India's 4 innings of the series so far underlines a major problem for this team. Barring the second innings of the Perth Test, where India posted almost 500 runs, the visitors have failed to reach 200 in 3 innings. This continues a worrying trend witnessed during the shock defeat to New Zealand at home last month. Since the start of India's Test season in September, Rohit averages a lowly 11.83 from 6 Test matches. Virat Kohli averages 26 from 7 Tests and 150 and 1 century. KL Rahul has fared better with an average of 33 from 5 Tests, but barring Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rishabh Pant, no Indian batter has made it to 400 runs. Across these 7 Test matches, Jaiswal is the team's leading run getter with 564 at an average of 40, followed by Pant, who's made 509 at 39. Shubman Gill is third with 367 at 40 from 5 Tests. Around poor form and questions over the future of Rohit and Virat Kohli, the brilliance of Jasprit Bumrah has stood out. When Rohit was unavailable, Bumrah captained India in Perth and oversaw a famous win in which he was the player of the match for taking 8 wickets. In Adelaide, with the pink ball, Bumrah was against the best of India's bowlers but failed to make an impact like he had in Perth. And this was one reason Australia won the match. Bumrah also lacked that support on the first evening at Adelaide Oval as Mohammed Siraj and Harshit Rana failed to make the Aussie batters play enough. On day 2, Rana was punished and went wicketless while conceding runs at nearly 5.5 and over. Siraj began erratically but found his way back as the day went on, ending with 4 wickets and an economy of 4 per over. On the same pitch, Australia's 3 pacers took all 20 Indian wickets, and that too in just 81 overs. A major difference between the two teams indeed. And then there is the small matter of figuring out how to stop their nemesis that you can see on your screens. Travis Head, the South Australian, lived up to his billing as the king of Adelaide Oval over the weekend as he smashed 140 of 141 balls to help the home team to 337. Their biggest total in 6 home tests. Head went from 50 to 148 balls and took a particular liking for Rana, whom he hit for 41 runs of just 29 deliveries. Now, former India pacer Atul Vasan says the win at Perth was no less than a miracle as a team like Australia can never be written off easily. Vasan also praised Jasprit Bumrah but added that the pace spearhead alone cannot win matches for India every time.
नहीं, मैंने पहले मैच में कहा था कि भाई चमत्कार हो गया। मुझे आशा नहीं थी पहले टेस्ट मैच में जीतने की, पर जिस तरह से बुमराह की ब्रिलियंस ने हमें जिताया था, पर हर बार बुमराह आपको जिताएगा नहीं। आप जब रन नहीं बनाएंगे ना तो बड़ी मुश्किल है, क्योंकि ऐसी बात नहीं, वो भी इतनी जबरदस्त टीम है, घर पे खेल रही है और ये पलटवार की मुझे पूरी उम्मीद थी और ऐसा ही हुआ, क्योंकि ऑस्ट्रेलिया जो है ना ये अलग एक किस्म का जानवर है। इसको आप कभी राइट ऑफ नहीं कर सकते। आप ये नहीं कि आपने पकड़ लिया।
The Indian team's chastening defeat in Adelaide, of course, has punctured some of the euphoria that had prevailed in the camp after Perth. There are serious concerns over India's batting, like I said. Rohit's run drought shows no sign of ending, even after he dropped down to the middle order. He couldn't find form. Indian captain has just 1 half century and 8 single-digit scores. Now, it was a batting capitulation by India in Adelaide. Like I said, just 81 overs is what Indian batters could bat for. This is what he said. When you come to Australia, I feel the best chance of winning a test is by putting runs on the board. We were 30-40 runs short with the bat in the first innings. And then there were opportunities when Australia were batting and we failed to take those chances by dropping catches. And obviously, when you miss those chances, it's never easy. It's not going to be easy against a team like Australia. The opposition will always make you pay for it, and that's what happened. Then in the second innings as well, we thought the conditions were better, but again, we were not good enough with the bat. He also added, and of course in India too, we didn't bat well. He's talking about the New Zealand series. We accept that, and we agree that when we play in India, we are trying to play in difficult conditions, and that's what we wanted. It's not anyone else's choice. It was our choice, and we knew that the big scoring games are not going to happen, and that is something that has been the case over the last 4 and 5 years, and we accept that. Okay, with that, time for us to slip into a short break, but Arsenal were held to a draw by Fulham. Details on the other side of this break.
In the fight against child rape and murder, the police plays a crucial role. Their involvement is both proactive and reactive. It includes interventions at the prevention levels and investigation levels as well. Since the Nirbhaya case in 2012, which led to tougher laws against rape, little appears to have changed. But stopping crime against women cannot be left to the police alone.
This and more. Streaming on News 9 Plus. News is now content. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
Welcome back. Arsenal were held to a 1-1 Premier League draw by London rivals Fulham on a grey, wet Sunday at Craven Cottage as Raul Jimenez scored early for the hosts and William Saliba equalised for the visitors at the start of the second half. The result left Arsenal second on the table with 29 points ahead of Chelsea after their late game against Tottenham Hotspur. Fulham, who also thwarted the Gunners both home and away last season, have now lost only one of their last 7 league games and sit 10th in the table on 23 points. Arsenal had almost complete control of the ball in the first 10 minutes, but Jimenez stunned the title chasers in the 11th, racing away down the right and firing right-footed across goalkeeper David Raya into the far corner. Declan Rice nearly scored a mirror image goal for Arsenal at the other end, midway through the half, controlling a pass from Leandro Trossard, only to strike his left-footed volley just wide of Fulham keeper Bernd Leno's far post. Despite having almost 75% possession in the half and 4 corners compared with none for the hosts, the Gunners were unable to break through Fulham's disciplined defence. Saliba levelled for Arsenal shortly after the interval from a point-blank range, poking the ball in when Kai Havertz headed it back down into his path from a corner. Arsenal thought they'd won it in the 88th minute when Bukayo Saka headed the ball in from close range, but the goal was ruled out by the video assistant referee for an offside in the build-up. Fulham remained unbeaten in their last 9 London derbies in the league, their best such run since 2000-2001. Dan Ashworth has left his role as sporting director at Manchester United after 5 months in the job by mutual agreement. The 53-year-old was recruited from Newcastle United and arrived in July to much fanfare, but the decision was made to part ways after a meeting between Ashworth and their chief executive Omar Barada after Saturday's 3-2 home loss to Nottingham Forest. This is what he said. We'd like to report, this is the club, we'd like to thank Dan for his work and support during a transitional period for the club and wish him well in the future. Ashworth had played a key part in reshaping the club following Jim Ratcliffe's purchase of a minority share and has overseen major decisions such as retaining manager Eric Ten Hag last summer and the spending of close to £200 million on new players. His shock departure comes after United lured him away from Newcastle following lengthy talks in which Ashworth was put on gardening leave, which United paying Newcastle around £10 million to secure his services, while Ratcliffe once described Ashworth as one of the top sporting directors in the world. The decision on his departure was engineered by the Ineos boss. Well, this is all according to some reports, and this has come less than a month after the hiring of Ruben Amorim as the head coach of Manchester United. Okay, on to that club versus country debate that just marches on, that just everybody keeps talking about it. Now, Kylian Mbappe has said that he remains committed to the French national team despite not being called for recent games, and that he respected the decisions made by coach Didier Deschamps. In an interview with Canal Plus, Mbappe said, and I quote, "The French team has always been the highest rank in football. It's the national team. I've always said there's nothing more important. My love for the French team hasn't changed. You serve your country and that's it. I always held the French national team to the highest level. I did everything possible to represent it as best as possible." Now, Mbappe has scored 48 goals for his country, but he managed only one competitive goal in 2024. He endured a difficult Euro 2024 as he played much of the tournament with a broken nose. Mbappe was omitted from the France squad in October as a precaution after returning from injury, and then again the following month for no clear reason. French coach Didier Deschamps said the decision to omit Mbappe for November's Nations League game was a one-off. Addressing the issue, Mbappe said, and I quote, "I can't talk about November because it was a decision from the coach and I will get behind what he said. I fully respect his decision because he is the boss. I wanted to go, but I can't say why." The football calendar has become a major concern for elite players, with the increasing number of fixtures potentially contributing to injuries, a concern shared by Mbappe as well. He said in the NBA, the National Basketball Association, they get 4 months off, we get 2 weeks. And in the second week, we're already back to running. It is not a vacation. The impact of such a demanding schedule has clearly weighed on him, especially after Euro 2024, much of which he played with that face mask after breaking his nose, and where he was asked to go off during extra time in France's quarterfinal because of fatigue. France went out in the last 4 in Euros. Now, this is a wonderful story. Teenage sensation Gout ran the 200 meters in 20.04 seconds at the Australian Schools Championships in Brisbane on Saturday to break the national record Peter Norman set in the 1968 Olympics. Tall 16-year-old who earned comparisons with Jamaican sprint great Usain Bolt after winning 200 meters silver at the World Under-20 Championships in August, won the race by a good margin at the Queensland Sport and Athletics Centre. His run was clocked at 20.07 but later revised down to take him under the 20.06 Norman posted to win silver behind Tommy Smith in Mexico 56 years ago. Smith and bronze medalist John Carlos later famously made Black Power salutes on the podium. The son of migrants from war-torn South Sudan, Gout lives in the Queensland town of Ipswich, just down the road from Brisbane, where the Olympics will be held in 2032 when he is 24. Gout will turn 17 later this month. He is next targeted breaking the 10-second barrier in the 100 and the 20-second mark in the half lap race.
Came with the bend, I just hit the pedal. I didn't expect it to be that fast, but I guess I ran showed as fast as every time in the 200. So I've been chasing that record, but I didn't think it would come this year. I thought it would come maybe next year or the year after that. So just getting it now is definitely a great achievement for sure. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, right now I can't really process it, but I guess tonight when I go in my bed, think about it, it'll be pretty crazy for sure. Me, I've always done what I've said I've always done, so if I said something and it's on my mind, I'm pursuing it until I get it.
If you thought what Rishabh Pant got in the latest IPL auction, you've got to watch this story. American baseball superstar Juan Soto made history on Sunday night, agreeing to a 15-year, $765 million contract. It's the largest ever deal in professional sports with the New York Mets. This is what now a lot of media are reporting. In the US, none of the money in the deal is deferred, and the contract could end up being worth over $800 million. Soto joins the Mets after spending one season with the crosstown rival Yankees, who gave the outfielder a one-year, $21.05 million qualifying offer that was turned down back on November 19th. The New York Post reported that the Yankees were willing to fork out $760 million over 16 years to bring back Soto, but the Mets ended up outbidding them. Soto helped the Yankees reach World Series in 2024 after batting 288 with a career-high 41 home runs and 109 RBIs in 157 regular season games. In the Fall Classic, Soto posted a batting .313 average and blasted a solo shot to account for his only RBI of the series, a 5-game set that the Los Angeles Dodgers took 4-1. The Dodgers made baseball's biggest splash last offseason, signing free agent Shohei Ohtani to a 10-year, $700 million contract. At 26, Soto has not only established himself as one of the best hitters in the league, but he's also placed his name next to some of the greatest players in baseball history early on in his career. Like I was telling you at the beginning of the story, Rishabh Pant's deal of 27 crore rupees with Lucknow Super Giants is equivalent to $3.18 million. That's 1/16th, almost 1/16th of what Soto is getting per year. Rebels toppling the regime of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad prompted the country's soccer federation to change the color of the national team's kit and logo from red to green. Syrian rebels seized the capital Damascus unopposed on Sunday after a lightning advance that sent Assad fleeing to Russia after a 13-year civil war and 6 decades of family's autocratic rule. As the events unfolded, the Syrian Soccer Federation announced it was changing the color of its logo and the kit of the men's first team. This is what they said: our new national team uniform. And they posted it with a different color on their Facebook alongside photos of several players clad in green. The first historic change to happen in the history of Syrian sports, far from nepotism, favoritism and corruption. That's what it added. Well, that's it then in the world of sports. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.